Hello everyone. So this video is going to start a new series on human rights. I know I have covered quite a bit of it in the past, but this is something that it's a seriously deep hole. There's always something to find, something to learn, new stories to tell. I will continue to work on the Sacred Bleeding series, but I'm going to be throwing this into the mix. So, human rights are rights we have simply because we exist as human beings. They are not granted by any state. These universal rights are inherent to all of us, regardless of nationality, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other statuses that we may have. They range from the most fundamental, which is the right to life, to those that make life worth living, such as the right to food, education, work, health, and liberty. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UDHR, adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948, was the first legal document to set out the fundamental human rights to be universally protected. The UDHR is around 75 years old now and continues to be the foundation of all international human rights laws. Its 30 articles provide the principles and building blocks of current and future human rights conventions, treaties, and other legal instruments. The UDHR, together with two covenants, the International Covenant for Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant for Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, make up the International Bill of Rights. The principle of universality of human rights is the cornerstone of international human rights law. This means that we are equally entitled to our human rights. This principle, as first emphasized in the UDHR, is repeated in many international human rights conventions, declarations, and resolutions. Human rights are inalienable. They should not be taken away, except in specific situations and according to due process. For example, the right to liberty may be restricted if a person is found guilty of a crime by a court of law. All human rights are indivisible and interdependent. This means that one set of rights cannot be enjoyed fully without the other. For example, making progress in civil and political rights makes it easier to exercise economic, social, and cultural rights. Similarly, violating economic, social, and cultural rights can negatively affect many other rights. Article 1 of the UDHR states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Freedom from discrimination set out in Article 2 is what ensures equality. Non-discrimination cuts across all international human rights laws. This principle is present in all major human rights treaties. It also provides a central theme of the two core instruments, the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination and the Convention on the Elimination of All Discrimination Against Women. All states have ratified at least one of the 9 core human rights treaties, as well as one of the 9 optional protocols. 80% of states have ratified 4 or more. This means that states have obligations and duties under international law to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. The obligation to respect means that states must refrain from interfering with or curtailing the enjoyment of human rights. The obligation to protect requires states to protect individuals and groups against human rights abuses. And the obligation to fulfill means that states must take positive action to facilitate the employment of basic human rights. Meanwhile, as individuals, while we are entitled to our own human rights, we should also respect and stand up for the human rights of others. There are many online movements to join to stand up for others. You can Google some or all that I'm about to mention. Hashtag Human Rights Day. That is for the youth standing up for human rights. Hashtag World is in our hands. This one defends human rights. Hashtag Not Ghosts is to protect albinism. I Stand With Her is an International Women's Day group that stands up for women's rights. Hashtag Stand Up for Migrants helps protect the immigrants and stuff that come to any country in order to seek a better life or refuge. And Free and Equal is a LGBTQIA rights and fair treatment movement. And then there's also a couple of things like Photography for Humanity and a podcast to create a vision of the world you want to see. Both of those are excellent, and especially the Photography for Humanity. If you come across things like a homeless camp, or you witness somebody being discriminated against and you take pictures and you submit them, it brings awareness to those causes. And at some part in there, I believe that they have it to where they actually pick pictures and stuff that can be published in like news journals and stuff like that, and then the winner, gets a reward for it as well. That is just a few. I will be covering a lot more in this series as we move through it. Have a great day, everybody.